Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. I am Suleiman. Today, it is KANO politics in focus. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje is in a political battle with a faction of his party led by former Governor Ibrahim Shekarau and his G7 squad, including, of course, Senator Barau Jibrin and Honorable Shaban Sharada, who is currently chairman of the House of Reps Committee on Security and Intelligence. The controversy reached a peak yesterday when an FCT High Court here in Abuja voided the word congresses by Ganduja's faction and upheld those of the Shekarau camp. The judgment has created tension in the Ganduje camp, who have signaled that they will appeal. Of course, there is no predicting KANO politics, because as they say in KANO, whatever you are up to, you will meet your match or even more. But one thing is clear. The 2023 election is already in full swing in Nigeria's center of commerce. So today on Daily Politics, we ask, what does that judgment mean exactly? What does it mean for Governor Ganduje, who is in his final term? And what does it mean for the APC in KANO going forward? Joining me to make sense of all these developments are Malang Ali M. Ali, the editor-in-chief of People's Daily newspaper, and Malang Ismail Mudashir, group politics editor of the Daily Trust newspaper. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. But before we go into the discussion proper, we will take a minute as usual to bring you a roundup of politics in the news today. Stay with us.
President Muhammadu Buhari has called for a stronger emphasis on people-to-people relations between South Africa and Nigeria to evolve a bond that will be of benefit to both countries and the entire African continent. Speaking while hosting his South African counterparts, President Cyril Ramaphosa at the presidential villa in Abuja on Wednesday, he reiterated Nigeria's commitment to improving a special relationship with South Africa, which will translate into gains for the continent, particularly in education, science, trade and investment, tourism and security. Buhari told ministers and government delegates of both countries that a strong bond of brotherhood between Nigeria and South Africa will be of great benefit to Africa as a catalyst for economic, technological, social and cultural development, and as a force for peace and security on the continent. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has dismissed the case against the election of Professor Charles Soludo as the governor-elect of Anambra State. In a judgment delivered by Justice Taiwo, the dismissed suit sought to nullify Soludo's election on the allegation that he presented false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission during registration. The plaintiffs, Adinde Valentine and Ogudike Chukwebuka, had in their suit alleged that Soludo lied in their affidavit, which he submitted to INEC. INEC, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Soludo and the Deputy Governor-elect Dr. Onyeka Ibezim were cited as defendants in the suits. The crisis rocking the ruling All Progressives Congress in Osun State seems to be exacerbating, but its elders caucus led by Bisi Akande has initiated a move to end the animosity. In less than 7 months, there will be an election in Osun State to elect a governor to steer the affairs of the state for the next 4 years. But for the crisis rocking the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, the party stands a good chance of retaining power in the southwest state. Governor Adigboyega Oyetola and his predecessor, Minister for Interior Rauf Aregbesola, had tried to play down the rift between them by denying that there's a rivalry between them. But the utterances of their followers and loyalists suggest that all is not well with the party. However, the elders caucus of the Osun State APC has begun moves to resolve the lingering crisis within the party to ensure that the party triumphs in next year's governorship election in the state. Elders of the party recently, under the leadership of Chief Shola Akinwumi, led other members to the private residence of Chief Bisi Akande, former interim national chairman of the party, to deliberate on the crisis rocking the party and profit solutions.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And now let's get down to the discussions proper. Mala Ali, let me start with you. Usually I start either from, mostly from my right, but let me start from my left today. Now, this new judgment, what does it entail? First of all, for the wider, what does it mean exactly?
Well, it means to the layman that the APC in the state, or at least the government there, it means the government has to go back to the drawing board. Clearly, because the government has lost from the ward. The implication of that judgment is that the state governor has lost control of the party at the Congress.
Okay.
But some people will argue, going by the judgment, that if you nullify the elections conducted at the ward level and then to the local government level, then the state executive council, EXCO, also has lost local standi.
Okay.
In legal terms. They have lost because if those at the bottom, that is the ward, if the election there has been nullified, not recognized by law, that means those who elected the local government delegates, also their election is null and void, and ultimately affecting. So by this judgment, it means the government, the APC-led government, especially the faction of the state governor, Abdullahi Umar Gamduje, led by Abdullahi Abbas as the chair, has completely lost out. And the Shekarau-led faction now has the upper hand. But Ganduje is still in control of the government, and given the response
in control of the
state executive council, that is government.
Yes.
And given the response so far from the part of the government, they say they're studying the judgment and they are likely to appeal.
Okay.
So the implication here is that Shekarau faction now is the one controlling the Congress at the local level, at the ward, local government, and at the state.
Okay.
But then that is my own interpretation. Perhaps lawyers will have a different insight. But as a layman, as a newsman, who is merely interested in informing the public, this is my own understanding of that judgment.
Thank you very much. Okay.
As it is now, the battle has not been won.
Has not been or lost. Okay.
Yes. Since the Commissioner of Justice has indicated interest that the state government is going to appeal the judgment of the Federal Court, I think the battle has not been lost.
But even if, let us assume that they appeal and the current judgment is upheld, is the position of the governor, his control of the party, does it necessarily depend on, or his position within the party, does it necessarily depend on his control of the party? Can somebody be governor without necessarily having his loyalists in the party structures?
No, just as it is obtainable in the national politics, it's the same scenario in KANO politics.
Okay.
And the governor would like to have a thorough grasp of the machinery, the party structure, so that he can influence and he can direct everything from his own side.
But the party structure, can they prevent the governor from governing on behalf of the people? Because the legitimacy, I'm looking at the two kinds of legitimacies here. The governor derives his legitimacy first and foremost from those who voted for him in the state. Of course, from the party as well, because he would have had to win a primary election before emerging as a candidate. But now as governor, which of the two legitimacies supersedes? Is it to the party or to the people of the state?
No, to the people, of course.
Okay.
But you see, all these battles that you see coming up here and there, it's not about now, it's about 2023.
Okay.
The gladiators are all struggling to have firm control of the party structure ahead of 2023 politicking.
Interesting.
And that's just all this.
So it's all about 2023.
And you see, KANO is a very sensitive state.
Okay.
The ruling party and even all other political parties, the main opposition, see the state as vote bank.
Okay.
So you all move in.
Where you guarantee 2 million votes, 1.9 million votes. Okay. That can
in
change the game.
2015, President Buhari got, I think, the highest vote from KANO.
Okay.
The same thing happened in 2019. And they are hoping that by 2023, if a similar thing, a scenario may play out.
Thank you. So Malali, the idea that the Shekarau camp has now been declared winner of, that the court has upheld their faction of the Congress. Does that mean they now control the party structures in the state, given that they don't form the government in the state? How is that contradiction playing out? You control the party, but not the government in the state. That too isn't a position of strength.
Well, as it is now, the party is locked in a very senseless, internecine war, and which ultimately would destroy the party.
Okay.
The fact that some people are controlling the congresses, the party congresses, means nothing in election when you don't have control of the government. Because constitutionally, you will need a vehicle to get elected. This vehicle will be a political party.
Absolutely.
Ganduje is not standing for election again, unless he wants to run for a Senate or he wants to run for the presidency, which is unlikely.
Case, it's not KANO.
And then if he is running for Senate, he will need to have the support of the party, unless he plans to defect to another party, where there won't be too much rancor. But any organization that is rancor-free, then it's a dead organization. You see, when you see people are battling, battle of wit, battle of swords, it's because there is something at stake. Like Amudai fleetingly mentioned, it's all about 2023. But even before then, you see, all politics, they say, is local.
Yes.
In KANO, there has been this underlying lingering feeling that until now, the incumbent governor has his successor lined up.
Okay.
And that's why he shut out the likes of Shekarau, who has been a two-term governor, a former minister, who has a large following.
But they were friends just recently, even in the 2019 elections.
Yes, so they are. After all, it was him they gang up against the other
the
dominant political leaning in KANO. That is the Konkoso,
yes,
former governor also. And then they team up, along with some elements in the PDP led by Amin Wali, another leading figure in national politics. Amin Wali has been minister, has been ambassador. He is an old warhorse, if you like, of the old school. Having been in MPN, he ran for governorship election way back in 1983.
Yes.
So he has a long history of political, if you like, tussle. But now with this scenario now, the party may be in the control of, for now, which may be Pyrrhic victory, because according to the government, they are looking at the judgment and then they are likely to appeal. But like you said, if the appeal court upholds that decision of the High Court, what then next? Well, I don't think whether it terminates at the appeal court or it go to the Supreme Court. It will go to the Supreme Court now. All pre-election, okay. Ultimately to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And if the Shekarau faction still prevail, I see the party going to election losing, because you will need...
Thank you very much. But we will come to that, because that brings in the opposition party in the state, the PDP. But we'll come to that. First of all, this judgment itself. One of the reasons that the state government is given to appeal against the judgment is that it's a judgment delivered in Abuja for events that happened in KANO. That a high court of the Federal Capital Territory, that's like a high court of another state, does not have jurisdiction over issues that are happening in KANO State. What can you tell?
But why delivering the judgment, the Federal High Court claim it has jurisdiction to entertain the KANO issue. Yes, and I think, I don't want to say...
It's a Federal High Court, but a High Court of the FCT, just like the High Court of KANO State or things like that. That's what happened. So they are saying that.
But as I stated earlier,
Okay.
that it has jurisdiction to entertain it.
Okay, how so?
So I think we need lawyers to now interpret this.
Okay.
And it is on this premise that the KANO State Commissioner of Justice said they are going to appeal it.
Okay. Thank you. Mola, do you think that the FCT court here has any jurisdiction to decide a case that happened about 500 miles away in Kano?
Well, you see, I think whether the High Court is here or Kano, I think any court of equal jurisdiction can entertain that. It may well be in Yenagua because they have equal jurisdiction. But you see, what politics has done to our legal system, our judiciary, is to also expose the judiciary as no different from the rest of professions in the country. The media, the judiciary, you name it. We are literally on trial. Any professional group. Because if you remember, I want to slightly digress to make this point.
That's fine.
Yes. You remember the case of Uche Secondo's, why he held sway as chairman of the PDP. Conflicting court orders from courts of equal jurisdiction, prompting the Chief Justice of the Federation to say that those judges who gave these conflicting orders, ex parte motion orders, that they will be punished. A committee was set up to now, nothing has come out of it. But why I'm making this reference is because the idea that the court lacks the jurisdiction to do that falls flat on its face, because the court has the power, the jurisdiction to entertain that litigation. Having said that,
but the reason why they are saying the court doesn't have the power is that it is not like the court is not the federal high court in Abuja. Federal high courts in Nigeria are equal everywhere, wherever they may be located. So even if it is in Yenagua, it's the same. But this particular court is FCT High Court. It's like saying, so that's a difference.
And that was why I think
this particular court is FCT High Court.
And you see,
meaning that it's more or less like a magistrate court, or something higher than that in Kano,
with that caveat,
in Katsina.
With that latest piece of information, then it will make me modify my position.
Okay.
Because in law, you have to be very exact, or there will be miscarriage of justice. And even that, if it's a lacuna, there's this lacuna now, somebody can latch onto that. But like Muda said, the court has defended itself.
Okay.
Because clearly I was talking differently. I was giving this analogy with what, yes. But if the court says it has the powers, I mean, the jurisdiction to do that, then unless, of course, there are lawyers. And lawyers, anywhere, they can argue through and through. I'm not one. I'm a reporter.
That's all right. We all are. Yes.
So that is it. Yes. So, but then if at all it's proved that the FCT High Court does not have the jurisdiction to do that, then everything goes back again to square one. And that means some people somewhere have lost out completely.
Thank you. So that's where the Ganduje personal issue comes into. What does he stand to lose personally in this case, or to gain, since this is his final term? Whether he wants to be a governor, he can be governor in another state, but certainly not Kano State again.
No, he can't even become governor anywhere.
Okay.
Not under this constitution.
Thank you.
Since 2007, when the tenure of those governors that came on board 1999 were elapsing, most of them worked tirelessly to ensure their cronies succeeded them. Just the way President Obasanjo did at the national level. He single-handedly brought late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. So they are all interested in who succeed them.
So, but why would that? It shouldn't be the people of the state being those who decide who succeeds a governor in anywhere? Or let me put it, with the direct primaries, would that change that thinking?
If not until this amendment that is before the president is yet to be assented. We have three options. We have indirect, consensus, and direct. Previously, most of our governors won their primaries through indirect primary. Indirect primaries. And by that, you see, they got it through the endorsement of their, maybe the governors, the sitting governors. And you see, these governors are always interested in who succeed them because I don't want to atrocities. Maybe they are committed. I'm not talking about Ganduje, but I'm just generalizing.
Certainly, you're not accusing anyone. But allegations of corruption have been leveled against many governors in Nigeria. So you
and that's why you see them trying to ensure that it's Malam Ali Mali that should succeed me because I believe that it's going to cover me up at the end of the day. The same thing is happening at national level. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Thank you. So, Malam, this leads us again to the real interests within the APC, and I think we should feel free to mention names where we feel, because this is politics.
What
the Shekarau faction themselves, there are people like Senator Barau Jibrin, people like Shaban, who is rumored to also be interested in vying for the office of the governor himself, and Shekarau himself probably, who wants to vie for presidency or wants to retain his seat as senator. What does this mean for them? Does it mean that they will now have a go at these offices or at these ambitions in the state?
Well, politics is about interest.
Okay.
And I think on the onset of this discussion, you mentioned, though briefly, about how Shekarau and Ganduje at a point were very cozy. I know for a fact that at the personal level, they share a very deep personal relationship, friendship.
The two of them.
The two.
Shekarau, up to this moment.
Up to this moment.
Okay.
But I don't know, politics is our interest. Now, in the whole of this feud,
yes,
you know that, like Buddha said, it's all about 2023 election and about who succeeds who. Clearly, Ganduje has gone ahead of himself.
Okay.
Why I say so? Because at least if what his wife, who is very influential in the government, in fact, in some quarters, it's been said openly that there are two governors in Kano, Ganduje and his spouse.
Okay.
Whether that is true or not.
His boss.
Yes.
Okay.
you understand?
Yeah.
So, but out there is there in public space that this is being discussed routinely, that, look, it's a lot easier to even deal. If you want anything, go to Gogo. And then you get that. That's how the wife of the governor is, the first lady of the state. And she's not make any secret of her enormous powers, influence in her husband's government. Now, clearly, at the time in public domain, she did make an open, there's someone lined up to succeed her husband, who shuts out effectively the likes of Barau, who has not hid his gubernatorial ambition
as well. Okay.
Everybody knows that it's in the public, and unless you've not been following the politics of Kano, that Barau has his eye trained on succeeding Ganduje. In fact, there is a slogan there in Kano now among party faithful.
Okay.
Loyal to
what is it?
Yes, either loyal to Barau or to Ganduje.
Okay.
That senator to governor.
Okay.
That is Barau.
And then
governor to senator. Because Ganduje and Barau, they are from the same senatorial district.
Okay.
Almost very close local government. This one from Kabo, this one from Dawakin Tofa, a few kilometers apart. So that is one reason why perhaps they want to seek control of the party machinery. Because if you have the party machinery in your corner, in your back, that means you are assured of a vehicle that will ultimately sell you to the general public. But if you don't have that, this is why Ambody lost his second term bid. Because the party machinery was not in his control. It was in the control of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, who has been anointing successors since he left office in 2007. And indeed, he has expanded his influence beyond Lagos.
Okay.
That too is in the national.
But are these two cases similar? Ambode and this particular case, Ganduje versus Shekarau?
No, Ambode,
similar?
yes, there is similarity and there's dissimilarity.
Okay.
You know, because Ambode was seeking a second term.
Okay.
Ganduje is not seeking a second term.
Okay.
You understand? Ambode fought,
maybe second term as senator.
Ambode fought the powers that brought him on board.
Okay.
The Tinubus, that's but me, the way I'm viewing this thing, I'm seeing a repeat of Zamfara scenario in Kano. Even though the reconciliation committee of the APC being chaired by Senator Abdullah Adamu has moved in, but I'm still seeing like a repeat of Zamfara scenario whereby maybe the PDP will take it. Even though in Kano, the PDP has two factions too. They have the Aminu Wali's faction and the
we'll come to the PDP separate. Certainly we'll come to the PDP separate. The peace committee, if you like, you know, that's
led
by Senator Abdullah Adamu, who is also another, you know, old politician, you know, very deep in the game. Do you see any chance that they are able to bring about any reconciliation? And if so, what forms will such reconciliations take?
Well, that is possible, because in politics nothing is impossible. Yes, but even if there is any reconciliation between now, you know, in politics, like they say, 24 hours is a long time. How much more when you have months before the election? If it's about 2023 now, so there is sufficient room for reconciliation. If that had taken place in the first instance, there wouldn't have been that faction. According to Shekarau, when he explained that he's been, before they took their stand, he's been trying to dialogue with the governor, but all avenues for that were blocked. No chance. So what? And then when they look at they are going to lose out in the party that they helped to midwife, Shekarau is one of the, among those who midwife APC in Kano. But then for some local reasons, the feud, when, well, Kwankwaso moved into the party, naturally, the governor, the sitting governor, is the leader of the party, just like what's going on in Zamfara now. And before then, like Muda fleetingly mentioned also. But if this reconciliation happen, I don't know what is going to look like. Because Ganduje is determined to install a successor. If he had his way, the party is too weakened.
But he will not be the first person to do that. You know, because Shekarau also attempted to install a successor.
And what happened?
And secondly, Kwankwaso indeed succeeded in installing a successor who is Ganduje. I don't think, and all governors and all presidents in Nigeria have always sought to instill or, you know, to install someone else who succeeds them. It has not always worked out well, which is why you wonder why people even bother at all about it. You understand? But the governor has right to want to do that, you know. So would that really change anything? Why is he being accused of that? Because everybody does that.
You know, just to inform us, only yesterday, you know, the reconciliation committee has moved into Kano. There were reports that the chairman and the member of the committee met with the warring factions, and there was also a report that says that quoting the chairman, in the person of Abdullah Adamu, that they've succeeded in reconciling them, except for the issue of the litigation.
Okay. Which has now. So how has the litigation now? How would that affect the reconciliation?
You know, me, I'm just wondering. You know, many times even the president asked aggrieved members of the party to withdraw their cases. I think maybe if Senator Abdullah Adamu maybe would do the same thing, but we didn't know whether these people would be willing to withdraw their suit against the Ganduje faction.
Thank you. So I think this brings us to the middle of the program. We'll be taking just 1 minute to go on a break. When we return, we will continue with the discussion, particularly what this means, what these situations mean for the People's Democratic Party in Kano State. Please stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And we were discussing KANO politics, particularly the recent judgment on the World Congresses between the Shekaro faction and the Ganduje faction. Mala Ali, before we were talking about it's clear, as the two of you have said, that what is at stake here is 2023 in KANO, and maybe the governorship seat, but also maybe some senatorial seats that may have not yet been identified clearly. So each faction wants to seize control of the party structures, the party machinery, as some people put it. But we now have a law before the president, which aims to do away with all that kinds of politics, all that kind of politics, that power belongs not to party machineries, but to Nigerians, to the people, So how do you think, supposing that the president assents this law, this bill into law, how do you think that would change the game, in particular in KANO, and also in the wider politics in the country?
Well, I think a while ago the president declined to assent to that bill, but I was hoping that he would assent to it so that for a change, like most political watchers have suggested that if he did that, assent to the bill, especially the provision for direct primaries, then it will amount to returning power to the people. The people here, not the general public, party faithfuls.
Okay.
Because, in the APC constitution, there are about 3 methods of having a flag bearer. The direct, the indirect, that is the delegates, and then the consensus. If you all agreed among the 3 of us here now that you will be our leader, and we all agreed, I'm comfortable with your leadership, he's comfortable with your leadership, then that's the end of it. But if you assume the position of leadership without consulting us, we will rebel.
Absolutely.
But that's just a micro example.
Yes.
But you see, politicians also, active politicians, having been a political reporter myself for years, active politicians will tell you that having direct primaries will have its own consequences. Because the acrimony that will follow will be unmanageable and may ultimately cost the party in general election. Imagine having, in KANO, been, I think, running neck to neck in terms of voter population, are even party faithful. In KANO, there are over 4 million registered voters. I don't know the number of APC faithfuls in KANO. I don't know the number of PDP faithfuls. But then, if you have this large number of people going to queue up to vote, there will be rancor. Which, to me, like I said earlier, anywhere that is without crisis, there's nothing wrong with having crisis. Crisis, conflict, they are part and parcel of any system.
Democracy is a vehicle for settling crisis.
Precisely. But then what is their conflict resolution mechanism? Unfortunately, APC lacks that. And that's why it lost Zamfara in the 2019 election. Zamfara went to PDP on
But it has
technicalities.
regained some for now.
Yeah, well, because the governor defected, he realized that he cannot win because APC is entrenched right to the bottom in Zamfara. So the next realistic thing to do is to defect, because he knew that it was technicalities that brought him to office. Because going by law, there was no primaries conducted in the APC prior to 2019 election. And that was how the Supreme Court gave the verdict installing the next party with the next, you understand? So, yes, if the president has assented to it, for once, he would, by that act, obliterate the political lots. Who are the political lots? The governor, for example, in indirect election, delegates election. We have seen instances where delegates are literally quarantined, like
in hotel rooms.
Yes, in hotel rooms.
Yes.
Fed, given some token, and then they vote for whoever the governor chooses, if he's running for a second time or for his preferred candidate. And mark you, unless maybe in the case of Borno, who this governor himself said, look, my successor is better than me. Shetima says Zulum is better than me. And he's not been proved wrong.
So far.
But elsewhere, where governors have picked their successors, ultimately they were saying in the village square or market square, naked, literally dancing naked. Ganduje is an example. Ganduje succeeded Konkoso, his boss. But where are they now? Elsewhere,
even in Kano, there are lots of millions of people who believe that Ganduje has, in fact, built upon whatever Konkoso does.
Yeah.
But the discussion is not about the achievements of the various governments, but about the politics of factionalism within the APC in Kano State. So if the president assigns this bill into law, and the amendment bill into law, it means that the 2023 elections, including the party primaries that will lead to that, all of them would be guided by that law rather than what currently exists. So that means in Kano State, as in all the other states, all the political parties must hold direct primaries. What do you think that would mean for the two factions in the state, if that scenario plays out, as it's most likely, or as is at least likely?
If they're unable to resolve this feud, it will become a very serious matter. You understand? In the sense that the exercise may be hijacked, because direct primary involves all the members of the party across the 44 local government areas.
Yes.
The modality for it has not been designed, as stated by a federal commissioner of INEC, that they are waiting the assent of the president. That as soon as the president assents it, they will now design the modality. But going by the explanation we got from the lawmaker during public hearing on the amendment, all members of the party from across the 44 local government will troop out, maybe to the local government headquarters, maybe to the polling units, or maybe to the ward, to elect the governorship candidates.
And other candidates.
I'm talking about governorship election, governorship primary. And you see, if a candidate is popular, he will buy this. As Malam Ali stated earlier, unlike what was obtainable, or what is obtainable now, that whereby a selected few will they go to maybe just...
So does that mean that the party machinery will no longer matter?
No, it will matter. The party will be the one to conduct the primary.
Okay.
Even direct primary.
Indirect
yes.
primaries.
The party will be... What INEC will only supervise it.
Okay.
That's all. It will be conducted by the party. It's their primaries.
Thank you.
I see it, this thing is just as if we'll be conducting the election 2 times. We'll conduct the general election that will be supervised by INEC. Then the other one, the first one that will produce the candidate, will be supervised by the party.
But that's how it is in presidential democracies. For example, in the United States, their presidential primaries last maybe 18 months. People are over intermittently, right? Conducting elections, and it's staggered across various states, in ways that also help to advance political education that advance, strengthen people's participation in politics. But Malali, so this is where we come to what this means to the PDP now. The PDP is just as strong as the APC in Kano. Maybe not 100%, not entirely equal because it didn't win in the last election. But in the last election, the PDP gave the APC a run for its money to the extent that a rerun election had to be, if I remember correctly, had to be conducted. So what does it mean for the APC? And they still have strong stalwarts like Konkoso, Wali, and Co. What does it mean?
Well, ordinarily, this should be perhaps cheering news for the PDP, ordinarily. I said these are no ordinary times.
All right.
The PDP also is having its own share of internal conflict.
Okay.
For example, Amin Wali faction, which is very strong, it was the Amin Wali faction that aligned with the Ganduje to frustrate the Konkoso group that fielded the candidate that almost coasted to victory, except for the inconclusive. The first time, this idea of inconclusive election, there was a rerun, and the Amin Wali faction, along with some elements, aligned with the Ganduje to finally coast to victory. And in the process, rewarded Amin Wali faction with, I think, 1 or 2 commissioners slot. One of the commissioners now, right now, in serving in Ganduje's government, is the son of Amin Wali. So you see, in Kano, PDP is also split to the bottom. And meanwhile, even in Konkoso's camp, there are grumbles because the guy that flew the flag in 2019, Abba Gida, I'm trying to recall his second name.
Engineer Abba Yusuf.
Abba K. Yusuf. Abba Yusuf, well, is a son-in-law to Konkoso. And some people have not lost the idea that, look, this is all about...
Direct son-in-law or through third parties?
No.
Because in Africa, son-in-law can mean so many things.
Yeah. Well, he's married to Konkoso's niece, something like that. So,
So not exactly
son-in-law. Not exactly.
Gone.
But then even that, the nepotism, some people say, cannot be lost. Okay. Why not give the flag to Ganduje's deputy who will resign on behalf at the behest of Konkoso? That is Professor Hafiz. Why not? Because these are questions people say that why also they did not support the idea of Abba Gida, who almost coasted the victory. So right now, post the litigation that affirmed Ganduje as the duly elected governor, the camp of Konkoso split also.
Okay.
So now, right now, at the national
level... So there
are
in fact 2 splits within the PDP.
2 splits.
I'll bring you
Amin Wali faction, and then the split in Konkoso's camp also.
Yes.
There are people who will not support Abba for whatever reason, again. And then Konkoso himself, in national politics now, Konkoso is not exactly totally influential. Judging by what happened recently, when the National Working Committee of the PDP retreated last week, Konkoso did not show up apart from the convention. And clearly he has expressed his reservations about the gripping influence of governors of PDP, who himself was quite influential when he was governor.
One of them.
When he was governor before he broke to form the G7, that ultimately led to the formation of the NPDP.
Yes.
In 2014.
And success to the APC.
2013.
Yes.
And then 2014 moved to the APC. 7 governors, the G7, except for the old guy from Jigawa, Sele Lamido,
yes,
who ultimately at the 11th hour said, I was going to remain along with Babangida Aliyu. They said, no, we're going to remain in the PDP. So, PDP may not be that readily available alternative to APC. So, which makes that it's going to be...
But Muda, do you think that's correct? Because the PDP have also had their own reconciliation committees. They have also had their own retreats. And right now, they've had a new, they've already had...
NWC member elect.
NWC member elect. And interestingly, there's not much rancor following at least that at the national level. So do you see the PDP being able to overcome the divisions that Mala Ali mentions in a way that will give it, higher chances?
No, it will be very difficult. It will be very, very difficult. As we are now, the inability of the PDP to constitute the Northwest Zonal Committee is as a result of the feud between Kwankwaso and Wali's camp.
Okay.
The zonal vice chairman position has been zoned to KANO. But the Wali camp is insisting that it will be the one to produce the person, while the Kwankwaso is insisting that their own camp should be the one to. But from the grapevine, we learned that governor or two governors are behind Wali.
Okay.
And they are doing that to
two PDP governors.
Yes, definitely PDP
sitting governors of
a
the
sitting
PDP.
Governor, one from the northwest, the other one from the south.
Okay.
And they are insisting that Kwankwaso camp must not produce the zonal vice chairman northwest.
Okay. So are you saying that Kwankwaso is facing challenges at the national arm of the party because of his own presidential ambition?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And I just met somebody a moment ago. It's something funny was going to happen, maybe in the Kwankwaso camp.
Describe it.
No. I don't want to go there.
But because I'm sure our viewers will want to know.
I don't want to go
and
there.
you are a politics editor. You are in touch with people.
It's still developing.
Okay.
It's still developing. I met somebody, and the thing is developing. I wouldn't want to let it out now.
You don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
It's okay.
Out.
Hopefully, when the time comes, we will invite you again to let the cat out of the bag so that our viewers will get to know what's happening. So, but Malali, this leads us back again to the PDP. I mean, Kwankwaso, PDP, and APC. In recent weeks or a few months back, there were rumors that Kwankwaso himself was considering, rumors. I don't know how true they were, but that he himself was considering going, decamping back again to the APC, as I'm sure you two had. If that scenario plays out, which in Nigerian politics we have seen again and again, we have seen politicians change parties within 24 hours. They are in party A, move to party B, and then party C, all within 24 hours. It has happened in Nigeria. So if that scenario plays out in KANO, what would it mean for the APC altogether?
Well, it will mean that APC its implosion will be quickened.
Okay.
Ultimately.
Serious.
Because as it is now, it's getting to a crescendo, the build-up to its ultimate implosion. Well, I want to see what magic the Abdullahi Adamu Reconciliation Committee, what magic wand it will wave to banish all the crises in APC, which is unlikely because even the Abdullahi Adamu Reconciliation Committee sprang out from another reconciliation committee that was decision. The BC Akande committee was decision. And then you have another committee. And then suddenly you have Kwankwaso in the mix. And if rumors were anything to go by, I don't think some element will welcome Kwankwaso back into the APC. But then this is politics.
He has the right to.
No, he has the right.
And I don't even see him rejoining APC. I see him maybe aligning with another party, not APC, not PDP.
Okay.
Because, Kwankwaso has been nursing presidential ambition since 2015. He was all out. He contested against the president. He was defeated. And he ran back and picked a ticket that was reserved through a crony.
Yeah, a crony.
Yes. So I don't see him anything that will thwart his presidential ambition. Kwankwaso will not do it, from my understanding and reading.
But how would that thwart his presidential ambition then?
The zoning arrangement, even though the APC constitution, there is nothing like zoning in it. But people are saying there is a gentleman agreement or arrangement between the stalwart, those people that form the party that's
between North and South.
Between North and South.
Okay.
If if APC is picking its presidential candidate from the South, I don't expect Kwankwaso to now join the party since it's all out to actualize its own presidential ambition.
Interesting. So I think this brings us very close to the end of the program. I was hoping to end with you, but maybe we'll be ending with Madam Ali as well. So what does this mean? All of these kinds of political JoJo between the stalwarts in Kano State. What does it mean for governance and for the people of Kano?
Well,
because ultimately politics is about delivery of governance, good governance to the people.
Well, to be fair to Ganduje, you would say at the level of delivery of infrastructure, relatively, he's doing very well. It's just that the politics have overshadowed his service delivery.
Okay.
In matters of infrastructural development, urban renewal, he's done remarkably well. Even at the cost, enormous cost. Some people say he has totally altered, well, depending on how you look at it, especially the city. He has completely altered it, completely, for good or for bad. I will not, it's up to viewers to make that conclusion. But then his politics, known to be, well, winner takes all kind of politics, giving no. So what it means that governance may be suffering at the expense of politics. But then it's like that as well as we approach election. As for Kwankwaso, well, as a final parting word, Kwankwaso is caught in a dilemma now.
Okay.
He has the grassroots support, especially in Kano, but you see, he has a lot of networking to do, which to me is never too late. But then if you are desirous, you have to build coalition, build friendships, build alliances. While he was governor, he was known to be hawkish.
Okay.
In fact, he was nicknamed the man with the iron shoe, that whoever he marches on is gone. And once I asked him this question, are you a vindictive person? He said no, but he values loyalty. That's why he told me. And going back to history, in 2010, when he was trying to make a return to government house,
yes,
I asked him this question: why are you interested in returning why not go for the presidency? You've been governor, you've been minister, you've been special envoy. He now looked at me and pointedly make this point. He said, look, I'm not prepared. That was then in 2010 to go for the presidency. I want to go and conclude what I've started. So, normally Kwankwaso is a very calculating person when it comes to politics. But as it were now, he's caught in a serious quagmire.
Okay.
Yes. Unless he pulls a rabbit from his hat, I don't see him making any headway. Unless APC will not welcome him, PDP is completely sidelined. Unless he brings a new political party or builds a coalition with some other people, like Buhari did. When Buhari was repeatedly frustrated in the APC, APP, ANPP, he formed his party, CPC. CPC in 2011 did not make any coalition, but it managed to pull about 11 million votes.
Yeah.
And I think the alliance is in the offing.
The final word?
Yeah, this is the thing. Maybe this is the thing, you know.
So
There's,
in the offing,
and the undercurrent now, there is a new party, a third
Come.
force is likely to come, and kites have been flown. You can see that. That's why some people try to factionalize the APC, and then in some other places, some element will come together, like the APC did. But the difference is that in APC, there was a clear leader, Buhari. He was just like a president waiting.
Because he
has
already
tested
had
the
those
waters.
votes.
11 million votes
yes.
consistently for 12 years.
Yes.
10, 11 million votes. No politician possesses that remarkable figure.
Thank you. So as political kites continue to fly around Nigeria towards 2011, and particularly in Kano, we hope that 2023, we hope that it will all bring good to Nigeria and Nigerians. And this is where we draw the curtain for today's program. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for joining us, my guest.
Thank you for having us.
We hope to have you again once again. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time. I am your regular host, Suleiman. Enjoy your day.